In the pitch-black midnight hour, lightning cracked across the sky as Aisha's mother-in-law stormed into the dimly lit room, her eyes blazing with rage, and seized Aisha by the arm, yanking her toward the open door while snarling, "A daughter? You've poisoned our lineage with this worthless girl. Out, take your shame and disappear forever." Aisha, only 25, her warm olive skin slick with sweat and fear, gripped her contracting belly with both hands, the thin cotton sari clinging wetly to her trembling body as the storm's icy rain lashed her the moment she was thrust outside. Raj, her husband of 3 years, 28, stood frozen in the doorway, his dark complexion drained of color under the flickering lantern, his grease-stained mechanic's shirt unbuttoned and flapping in the wind, his neatly trimmed beard trembling as tears welled but no sound escaped his lips. He did nothing to stop it. The door slammed shut behind her with a finality that echoed louder than thunder. Alone in the downpour, labor tearing through her like jagged blades, Aisha staggered forward. What would become of her and the child fighting to be born? Would they perish on these unforgiving streets, lost to hunger, cold, and heartbreak, or could one woman, betrayed at her most vulnerable, somehow claw her way back to dignity and power? The terror was visceral, every contraction brought her closer to collapse, yet she knew stopping meant certain death for both of them, no shelter, no help, no mercy from the family that had just erased her. The burning mystery consumed her thoughts even as pain blurred her vision. How had love turned so cruel? She had given everything, endless hours tending the household, cooking meals flavored with the love she once believed was returned, enduring snide remarks about her barren worth until this pregnancy, only to be discarded the instant the gender was revealed. Rage and sorrow collided inside her chest. She screamed into the storm, not just from physical agony but from the soul-deep wound of abandonment. Yet woven through the despair was an unbreakable thread, a mother's fierce, primal vow to her unborn daughter. "We will live," she gasped between sobs, forcing one foot in front of the other down the muddy lane, bare feet bleeding into the earth. Memories assaulted her as she fought onward, the first time Raj smiled at her in the market 3 years earlier, his eyes lighting up like he'd found treasure. She had been 22 then, standing behind her small stall of handwoven scarves, long black hair braided loosely, strands escaping to frame her face in the golden afternoon light. Raj, fresh from the garage, hands still smudged with oil, his faded blue overalls rolled at the sleeves revealing strong forearms, had picked up a deep crimson scarf and held it against her cheek. "It brings out the warmth in your skin," he said quietly, voice low and sincere, their fingers brushing as money changed hands. That touch lingered in her dreams for weeks. Soon they met secretly by the river at dusk, the water reflecting the first stars. He'd sit close, arm around her shoulders, telling her stories of his childhood dreams while she rested her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Their kisses started shy, soft presses of lips under moonlight, then grew hungry, passionate, his hands exploring her back, pulling her nearer until the world narrowed to just them. "I'll never let anyone hurt you," he promised one night, kneeling in the soft grass, slipping a thin silver band onto her finger. "You're my queen already." The wedding was simple, filled with laughter and marigold garlands, but the joy dimmed quickly under his family's roof. His mother, stern-faced with fair skin lined by perpetual disapproval, always in a plain gray dupatta, would mutter about producing heirs, while his father, thin and silent in worn kurtas, nodded agreement. Aisha swallowed every insult, worked harder, prayed for a child to win their approval. Now those promises felt like lies as rain blinded her and another contraction doubled her over. She crawled the last stretch to the village outskirts, collapsing beside a crumbling wall. Time dissolved in pain until soft footsteps approached, an elderly widow named Fatima, her sun-weathered brown skin creased with kindness, wrapped in a threadbare shawl. Without hesitation, Fatima lifted Aisha, half carrying her to the small birthing hut nearby. Under the glow of kerosene lamps, with Fatima and a local dye holding her hands, Aisha pushed through the final torment. Mira arrived at dawn, her cry sharp and strong, tiny fists waving, skin a beautiful warm caramel blending her parents' tones. Aisha sobbed with relief, cradling her daughter against her chest, kissing the soft curls. "My princess," she whispered, "we made it." In that moment, exhaustion gave way to fierce determination. She would never let anyone diminish this child. Word spread quietly through the village. Raj had searched frantically after the door closed, shouting her name into the night until his mother dragged him back inside. His guilt was said to be crushing him, yet he hadn't broken free. The question haunted Aisha as she recovered: would regret alone bring him back, or had fear forever silenced his love? That uncertainty became her first great cliffhanger. Would she ever hear his voice again, begging forgiveness, or was the past sealed shut? Weeks later, with Mira bundled securely, Aisha left for the city, a small bag of belongings her only inheritance. She found a tiny room above a noisy market, walls damp and peeling, but hers. Days blurred into survival, cleaning offices at dawn, knees raw on marble, then selling street food until midnight, Mira strapped to her back in a cloth carrier, cooing at the lights. Nights were for study, library books on entrepreneurship, borrowed by lamplight, her eyes burning as she traced business plans with a stubby pencil. Mira grew, her brown eyes wide with wonder, tiny hands reaching for everything. At a free women's skill workshop in a community hall, Aisha met Vikram. 30, light tan skin, thoughtful eyes behind simple glasses, a soft mustache framing his gentle smile. He wore neat shirts rolled at the cuffs, sleeves pushed up as he demonstrated sewing techniques. He noticed her quiet focus, the way she absorbed every word, and after class offered her tea. "Your designs have soul," he said, examining the embroidered pouch she'd made. Conversation stretched into walks through crowded bazaars, sharing childhood stories under street lamps. One evening, as monsoon clouds gathered, he stopped, took her hands, and said, "You've carried so much alone. Let me help carry some." Their first kiss happened weeks later beneath a rain-soaked neem tree, tentative at first, then deepening with years of pent-up longing, his arms strong yet tender, her fingers threading through his hair. Romance bloomed slowly, beautifully. Picnics where Mira chased butterflies while they fed each other mango slices, late-night talks where he'd trace patterns on her palm, promising, "You're safe with me." He read Mira stories in funny voices, earning giggles that healed Aisha's heart. Her craft business started small, embroidered bags symbolizing resilience, sold at local fairs. Orders grew. Then came Raj's letter, delivered by a cousin, pages filled with remorse. "I was weak. Every day without you and our child is punishment. Please." Aisha's hands shook reading it, old love stirred, conflicting with the steady warmth of Vikram beside her. The dilemma tore at her: reply and risk reopening scars, or stay silent and bury the past. That choice became her second agonizing cliffhanger, suspending her between two lives, two loves. Years passed in a whirlwind of growth. Aisha's company exploded, workshops teaching women tailoring, embroidery, business basics, a brand born from pain turned into empowerment. At 30, she stood taller, olive skin radiant with purpose, elegant silk saris in jewel tones hugging her confident frame. She spoke at national forums, voice steady and inspiring, crowds hanging on every word of her journey from abandonment to leadership. Vikram proposed quietly on a rooftop one Diwali night, fireworks bursting overhead as he knelt. "Marry me, not to replace what's lost, but to build what's ahead." Their wedding was intimate, Mira scattering petals, laughter mingling with tears. Nights were filled with passion and peace, slow dances in their apartment, bodies moving together under soft lights, whispers of devotion. Mira, now 7, bright and fearless, excelled in school, her curls bouncing as she ran to hug Papa Vikram. Recognition poured in, awards, interviews, a home with sunlight and books. Then came the call, her former mother-in-law, voice frail, "We're losing everything. Raj is broken. Please come." The in-laws' house stood dilapidated, fields sold, debts mounting. Raj, thinner, eyes hollow, worked menial jobs. The invitation to a village gathering felt like a summons to judgment. Aisha wrestled for weeks, resentment still simmered, yet compassion whispered too. Could she return without losing herself? Would forgiveness heal or destroy the life she'd fought for? She chose to go, arriving in a sleek car, Mira in a sunny yellow dress holding her hand, Vikram beside her like quiet strength. Villagers stared as she stepped out, whispers of "the girl they threw away," turning to awe. On the cracked porch, her in-laws waited, mother hunched, dupatta faded, father leaning on a stick, Raj gaunt and tearful. He dropped to his knees first. "I failed you. I failed our daughter." His mother wept openly, "We were wrong, cruel. Forgive an old woman's blindness." Emotion surged through Aisha, anger flashing hot, then ebbing into sorrow for their frailty, finally settling into calm resolve. She knelt too, eye level. "I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I refuse to carry poison anymore." She embraced Mira as Raj reached out tentatively, touching his daughter's cheek for the first time in years, tears streaming. Vikram watched with pride, later that night holding Aisha under village stars, kissing her forehead. "Your mercy is your greatest power." In the months that followed, Aisha funded repairs, started village cooperatives, invited Raj to occasional family events, boundaries firm, but bridges built. Love, in its fullest form, had won, not erasing pain, but transcending it. Aisha's story reminds us that betrayal's deepest cut can become the forge of unbreakable strength. When the world discards you at your lowest, rise anyway, with love for yourself, for your children, for the possibility of healing even the cruelest hearts. Resilience isn't forgetting, it's choosing light over lasting darkness, forgiveness over vengeance, purpose over bitterness. You are never truly powerless when you refuse to stay broken. If this tale moved you, stirred your heart or sparked hope, hit like and subscribe for more stories of ordinary people claiming extraordinary destinies.